Itai Manyere, and the topic of discussion is how I inspired over 150,000 volunteers to keep pushing through the pandemic and what you can learn from my global leadership work. So his profile goes like this. Itai Manyere served as the 75th JCI president in one of the most challenging years of the organization's existence. In March 2020, when the lockdowns became so normal, the adopted plan became impossible to implement, and the changes had to be made. Lockdowns also meant that his whole leadership team could not travel to meet and inspire the 150,000 members across the world. Out of his trouble, or out of this trouble rather, came out one of the most amazing and transformational programs, an idea that took the time for him to process and to shape with his staff at the headquarters in St. Louis in Missouri, that is the United States. The JCI Rise initiative was called upon members to roll up their sleeves and meet the challenges of their communities by focusing on rebuilding economies, empowering the workforce, and improving mental health. The initiative has now become part of the core business of JCI and is set to be for the foreseeable future. Itai is currently serving as the immediate past president of JCI and chair of the JCI Senate. He is an active entrepreneur who serves as the founder and managing consultant of Blue Dot Mobile, a mobile marketing space which offers mobile marketing services and ensures brand presence in as many valuable hands as possible for its clients. Ladies and gentlemen, again, as President Itai Manyere is walking up on stage, can we unmute our mics? Can we turn on our cameras and give a warm round of applause for President Itai?
Yay!
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Zikisa. You know, I think this is one missed opportunity. I think I had a missed opportunity in 2020 to have opportunities to actually walk up on stage. Hey, I missed out. I missed out. This COVID thing. Greetings, everyone. Good to see everyone. Thank you very much for all those that have taken time to mute themselves. Thank you for that. And yeah, exciting to be here. Hey, greetings from Harare, Zimbabwe. Good to see some good faces, some familiar faces in the room. Wow, thank you very much to GSM for this opportunity of inviting me to come and share my experiences and my journey thus far, thanks to JCI.
You focus too much on the mic.
Hearty congratulations to Uno Tidanyoni, one that I consider a young brother, for pulling this off, for even giving birth to this organization, and the way you've actually collaborated with people that I know, people you've met in this network, and you guys are doing amazing things. Congratulations on that. Good to see Zikisa, good to see Chiamo, good to see Prudence, and many other people working behind the scenes. But yeah, enough of the formalities. Yeah, an exciting time. 2021 is here. And yes, COVID is still around. So yes, we still need to keep rising beyond any setbacks that we might have seen last year. If we thought that 2021 was vaccinated against COVID-19, I don't think so. This thing is still around and rearing its ugly head in our midst. So yes, as earlier on alluded to, I was JCI president last year. Boom, early on in the year, almost a year ago, a little over a year ago, boom, the world shut down. This thing called COVID, which was believed to be one that was, like, back in the day, we used to have your SARS flu, your H1N1, and it was said to be something just from China, and that's how COVID came along, and we all thought it was just for them. But before we knew it, this thing had spread across the world. And for once, we started facing a common enemy, which was COVID-19. And we'd never experienced this before. So many talk about how there used to be a Spanish flu back in the day when probably there was no imagination that we would be born. But yeah, this came along and probably just ended only in Spain, but we had something that locked down the rest of the world. And I always look at COVID as one that we would like to call perhaps an equalizer kind of a pandemic, because all along we've had pandemics on the African continent, in South America, in different parts of the world. But for once, everyone was dealing with the same issue, which is COVID-19, one that's caused untold suffering, and so many have not yet bounced back from the effects of 2020. But us as an organization, as JCI, an organization that I'm still very much a part of, because I'm still serving on the board. I'm yet to turn 40. An organization which we call one that develops young leaders for this fast-changing world. What an opportune time than 2020 to showcase what young leaders in a fast-developing young leaders in a fast-changing world. What an opportunity we were presented in 2020. We are in shutdown mode. You can't travel. Economies have shut down because of some virus. And you're fighting an enemy. Imagine you're trying to fight a mosquito in the dark. How do you even know how to hit it? You've got no remedy for it. There's no vaccine for it. There's no medication for it. And people are just dying. You just know the symptoms and all those. And each and everyone has got different methods to it. Someone says social distancing. Someone says sanitize your hands every other time. Someone talks about masks. A whole lot of things. Suggested remedies, but people were still dying and contracting the disease. But yes, as I keep saying, it affected us in so many facets. Economies shut down, lockdowns came along, hard lockdowns, soft lockdowns. You can imagine, and you know how they happened. And what it meant is livelihoods were affected. So certain businesses have had their livelihoods affected, business models affected. Some will not be able to reopen. The airline industry, the tourism industry is yet to bounce back. I was looking for a ticket earlier on, flying out of Harare. I can get a ticket now for $120, one way to Joburg. Back in the day, you would never dream of such. $120, you'd just go to the bus. And that's how you'd get to Joburg on $120. So it's those things that have changed and shifted around. But in all that, we, as an organization, we were not in isolation of these challenges as far as economic sustainability is concerned, because we work with different corporate partners. So certainly our livelihoods also as an organization was also affected. We also look at issues of mental health. Just thinking, where will my next meal come from? Will I still have a job post-COVID-19? Where are we headed? Is the next person infected? Will I contract COVID-19? Should I go to the shops? We are living on the continent. Online shopping is not necessarily one of those things that we have adopted that much. Some people are in remote areas where there's no electricity and no technology. So as far as online shopping and online learning, it's just not going to happen, at least not in the foreseeable future. So all those fears, the uncertainties that have come along with COVID-19. So what next? You hear XYZ has tested positive, and you just don't know, okay, are they going to die or they're not going to die? Will I contract it? Will I not? All those stresses are things that are real. People lost their jobs. Some will still keep losing their jobs. I spoke about the airline industry and some such spaces. And when we looked at, so in looking at all those things that were happening around us, we started to think, okay, what could be our response as an organization? Initially, the natural move was for young people to educate people on COVID-19, that it's real, that it's there, and how do you avoid it? Wash your hands, social distancing, at times even provide personal protective equipment. That's how we initially responded. But as an organization that looks at creating sustainable solutions for the future, we felt such interventions are just but temporary. And we had to look at long-term solutions to the challenges. And along came an opportunity for us to give birth to an initiative called the RISE Initiative. RISE standing for Rebuild, Invest, Sustain, and Evolve. COVID-19 came. COVID-19, if you would like to call it, when you shut an economy, everything grinds to a standstill. There's no economic activity, and there's no trading. There is no revenue generation, but expenses are still there, right? So all that which has been lost, businesses that have shut down and that might not necessarily bounce back, there is need for us to then be able to rebuild those economies, rebuild spaces for people to be able to be relevant post-COVID-19 as far as the job market is concerned. So looking for solutions that speak into that. When we look at investing in knowledge, investing in networks, investing in upskilling ourselves, upskilling so many other young people across the world, and be even sustain those investments. And as we do that, find ways, evolving as far as those interventions are concerned. And those were our worries. And we felt, let's focus on three main areas. Number one, rebuilding economies, because economies have been affected. So it meant, how do we ensure that small to medium enterprises are supported? How do we ensure that as young people and as people in our different areas across the world, how do we ensure that people can buy local, support local? How can we create opportunities for young people to break into business? Because small to medium enterprises are the bedrock of so many economies. Studies have been carried out that most economies are run by 80% of economies are run by small to medium enterprises. And the death of such will mean that there won't be any economic growth moving into the future. And as young people, young enterprising, young leaders across the world, we said we need to be able to play our part and our role as far as that is concerned. So we cease to be ones that are looking inside the organization, but looking outside and see how we can influence change in the marketplace. So as far as economic development, we have taken strides to make sure that we participate actively in those spaces. Existing businesses, how they can bounce back post-COVID-19, how we can create synergies with like-minded organizations. And it saw us strengthen our relationships in 2020 with the International Chamber of Commerce, working with the Business Network International, just making sure that you make your network even bigger and be able to get business to the doorstep. Working with organizations like World Business Angel Investment Forum that looks into how best you can pivot your business to be able to attract investment into your business through a wide network of angel investors. We talk about how we've been working with the Ban Ki-moon Center, how we've been working with the UNSDG network. All those organizations tie into the work that we do in JCI and tie into that particular pillar. Pillar number two is on how we were saying, how do we make sure that our workforce is relevant for post-COVID-19? I was looking at some trends on the World Economic Forum, just listing down careers that probably in the next 3, 4, 5 years will not be relevant. We look at things like your traditional messengers, your clerks, your filing clerks, any of that administrative stuff, most of that stuff is getting automated and technology is being put into it. And the question then is if that's what you've been doing, or that's the work that you're doing, how are you making sure that you can be relevant post COVID-19? So COVID-19 was a wake-up call. I was talking to a friend the other day. Here in Zim, when you're done with your A-levels, which is like matric in South Africa, you can apply in a bank, probably be a back office clerk, and probably 15, 20 years, you're working in the bank and waiting for an opportunity to get a loan to see yourself through the next month, or probably a housing loan, that's a mortgage, or some such things. So you just, it's more or less like life is just rock and roll. You don't necessarily have yourself developing at an accelerated pace. And you're comfortable working in a bank, you're comfortable, and you're working for a loan to pay back the loan. So you pretty much are a slave to the bank. But when the bank goes in lockdown and they get to a point where they say, we can work with skeletal staff, and they're actually able to operate, and at a point when now they need to reopen, the first question is going to be, so do we need all this workforce when we were working at 30% or 40% headcount in lockdown? And someone will say, probably not. That's when you see people start playing the retrenchment card, or laying off people. And the question is, when the conversation comes, when someone is considering to strike people off the workforce, where are you finding yourself? Are you on the list as one who is said to be redundant or non-essential, as it were? In our lockdown here in Zim, they were what they called essential services and non-essential services. And some of us, we just didn't realize that as far as economic development in the country is concerned, they decided that we are non-essential services. That was a wake-up call. But I digress. So it's those things. So you need to then find yourself and say, how can, as young people, be ones that are relevant in the job market? Be relevant. So you look around and look at the skills, the trending skills. Upskill yourself. Get some degree, get some diploma, get some postgrad or something like that, so that you just have an edge over the next person. And those are the conversations that we were having last year to make sure that people can still have livelihoods post-COVID-19. Then you look at, I spoke about issues of mental health. That's the third pillar that we were focusing on. How do we make sure that we can be there for each other as young people? Just to ensure that the next person feels that I'm not in this alone. Pick up the phone. Hey, Uno, how are you doing? Hey, Jack, how's everything? Jack might tell you he's okay, but if you start talking about nothing or talk about the stars along the way, Jack might just break down on the phone and boom, they tell you what's on their mind. And you lend them you lend them a listening ear. And in the process, by the time you put down the phone, they're in a better space. They can believe for a brighter tomorrow. And that's what we needed in COVID-19, just to believe that this will pass and we can get out of it alive. And in so doing, we can actually bounce back and rise beyond anything else. And those are the three main areas that we're looking at. So young people across the world have been carrying out projects as far as the three pillars are concerned. And we talk about business symposiums. We talk about collaborations with partners. We talk about some have started running challenges where people are just encouraged to just wake up and take 30 minutes, take a stroll, take a jog, or whatever. Burn a few calories as you're pumped up, get your day started. And who knows? That's something that you could start doing for the rest of your life. And those are the conversations that we have been having inside of COVID-19, just to make sure that we can believe for a brighter tomorrow and ensure that we are the change makers. It's a unique time as an organization where we were unified by one common enemy and one challenge that affected the whole world. So what was very important for us as we conceived this was to make sure that whatever intervention can be as relevant as possible across the world. Back in the day, we would have ordinarily said, there's been an earthquake in XYZ place. Can we put funds together so that we can help them out? This time around, how do I expect someone that's sitting in the States to put funds together for personal protective equipment for Zimbabwe when they themselves in the US, they also need the personal protective equipment. In Japan, they also need it. In China, in India. So we just had to come up with a solution that is long-term and one that we believe can pivot ourselves into the future as an organization. It goes without saying that conversations of economic development had been at the back burner for a very long time. And this gave us a unique opportunity to bring them to the forefront, because in anything and everything, you can't give what you don't have. And the problems that I spoke about, the three main problems, economic development or economic prosperity at an individual level, which in turn spins into the economic space of your country or your community, is very important. Your livelihood, as far as job security is concerned, goes without saying. Also, the mental health issues, it's a no-brainer. Everyone needs to have a sound mind at any given point in time. So as we came up with these solutions, we also looked and said, how have our own members been affected? This is the conversation that we talk about right now are not conversations for third parties. They're not saying, okay, there are people that don't have access to school, so we go and help them out. No, but these are problems that are within our organization. You and I can talk about this, kill donkeys, develop ones, and work to find solutions. Engage the right partners, engage the powers that be in industry and commerce and in government to find a solution to be able to solve that problem, which we are currently facing. So when someone feels that this organization that I'm a part of, that I kind of felt is a give organization, but it's also an organization where we can sharpen each other for my own individual progression, that motivates them to stick around. That motivates them to contribute to the good of the organization. It gives them an opportunity to even look around and say, which are the John, Jack, or Jill can I bring along and have them be a part of this network. So as far as our positioning as an organization and our relevance as far as conversations are concerned, those have started shifting thanks to COVID-19. We sit on tables with the powers that be, with leaders of industry and commerce, with large networks. I spoke about the World Business Angels Investment Forum. These are people that are not necessarily looking for funding, but these are people that are actually angel investors. And we are going in there and saying, how can we work together for you to be able to invest in ideas, innovations that our young people have and young people that we've got access to? You can be able to invest in those bankable projects that they do have. So it got us thinking outside of the box. Instead of spending so many hours flying, instead of spending so many hours in layovers, as it were, or tired, trying to catch up with jet lag, for once, we had the unique opportunity to work on our organization. Look at it, spin it around, turn it around, and ensure that we position ourselves well for the future. Along the way, we've been able to develop different courses, entrepreneurial development courses, and I'm glad to say Unutidanyoni has been instrumental as far as one of the courses is concerned. So you should, on the reaction, one, two.
Yes, you are back live, President
You can hear me, right?
I'm not sure what happened.
Thanks.
You seem to be audible.
Okay, thanks. So much for technology. Okay, what was I talking about? I was talking about, Okay, I spoke about Uno and his contribution to the entrepreneurial the program that we developed. Then I said, okay, let's look at some of the difficulties that we faced last year as an organization, because probably I'm just painting the rosy side of things and some of the things that probably you guys just see every day. Number one, with lockdowns, we also had to close down HQ. So people are not necessarily still not coming to the office physically till today because of COVID-19. The inability to travel is a very key ingredient of the work that we do. So we were not able to travel to meet leaders, to negotiate partnerships, to meet members, to motivate them face to face. It was not possible because of COVID-19. We also feared for the future, to say, what next? Where does this leave us, as it were, at an organizational level, in our personal spaces, in our businesses, in our workplaces, even fearing for our children to say, okay, when schools open, what next? Will things really get back to normal, as it were? And those are some of the
Mr. President. Pardon us, ladies and gentlemen. I suppose the president is having a technical glitch. Mr. President, are you there?
Something's happening to my connection. I'm glad I'm back. I hope it doesn't do this again. So yeah, let me continue from there. So all those uncertainties are realities that we faced. Our programs were changed around, but hey, we managed to pivot ourselves into the future partnerships that we went and up to make sure that we keep on moving. And it's not necessarily, all these partnerships are not necessarily partnerships that we say we forge ahead just for a select few, perhaps at board level or at HQ level, but it's for the good of those partnerships, for our members on the ground to be able to collaborate with those partners to make their work easier. I talk about ISEC. ISEC has been one that's very pivotal in terms of developing young leaders in the workplace. They work on placement and all those things. And we had a few opportunities to work with them last year, and we continue to work with them. I spoke about Business Network International, the International Chamber of Commerce, World Business Angels Forum. There's another partner that we've got that we continue to work with as far as skills development is concerned, the Global Growth Institute, the Ban Ki-moon Center. And along the way, because of COVID-19, we've always spoke about accelerated transformation as an organization. And we transformed the way we do things thanks to technology. And 2020 was a unique opportunity for us to do that. All our conferences were virtual. Our meetings went virtual. We invested in a new IT platform, which would change the way we collaborate, the way we interact as young people across the world, the way we network, the way information is shared, and some such things. It's just going to be amazing. We invested in a fantastic platform that should be launched later on this year. Pre-COVID-19, probably someone would have said, is this the right time for us to invest in this? And I, as an IT person, I would have said, the opportune time, yes, is now, simply because I believe in the power of technology and how, when you're running an organization that is across the world, working with people in different time zones, different languages, different backgrounds, technology is the one that can easily bridge that gap. Adopting technology for our events, for our meetings. One key thing that we managed to also do in 2020 was financial prudence, making sure that we make savings at any turn, as it were. And it saw us almost trebling our surplus in 2020, something that does not happen regularly or lately. And so those are some of the achievements that we made. Smarter investing, looking at the dashboard, because we've got investments that we've got as an organization, looking and saying, where do we put our funds? Take those out, switch them around, take them off the stock market, put them in bonds, put them on the money market or something like that in safer havens, and all those things that we had to do, thinking on our feet for the good of the organization. Then the question comes, so what are the key lessons that we learned from COVID-19? Number one, we got to make sure that we always think on our feet. You will face challenges, and at times you ask yourself, why me? And someone else will say, but why not you? You are there for a purpose. That difficulty is there, that challenge is there so that you can be the one who can say, when you are done with it, when you've gone through it, you actually conquered it. And when you get to the other end, you are better than ever before. It was a test of character. It was a test of stability. It was a test to say, can we steer this ship forward? So we needed to make sure that we are well grounded and think on our feet. I had to make it look as if the ship was not, we were not surrounded by a fire. Because someone is looking to say, if the president is the one that's the first to run away, or the board of directors is the first to run away, then everyone else follows suit. But when they look at you and they see that you look very grounded, you coming up always with a smile and with so much energy, then they'll say, okay, probably we are going somewhere, probably. Let's see what this African can help us do. This African straight out of Zimbabwe. All those things. Number two is the accelerated transformation, ensuring that we are able to adopt technology in the things that we do. We always had plans to take certain things digital, but someone would always tell you, it can't happen, it can't. But COVID was the best accelerator as far as digital transformation is concerned. Lesson number three, in everything, there are two sides of the coin. We've got a certain way of doing things, right? We've got a certain way of doing things as a people. And in doing whatever we do, we normally would like to be so one-dimensional and not look at the other side. But take time to look on the other side and think in other terms and see what is possible. And 2020 unpacked possibilities. It unpacked possibilities, and we had to unpack those. We had to utilize them for the good of the organization. I talk about how traditionally we travel across the world. Question should then be, do we really need to spend time traveling? The number of members that the board members managed to engage last year are numbers that have never been seen. I was in a session in India where I had people from across the whole country. I think we had close to 1,500 to 2,000 members in India on the Zoom call. It's not possible when you travel for just 2 days in a country to meet 2,000 members, to interact with them, to have them in your chat box on Zoom and interact with them and talk to them, understand what they feel, understand what they think, make friends in the process. Normally it's just a Zoom in and Zoom past. Oh no, president is busy. President needs some rest. He's recovering from a jet lag, this and that. Then you ask yourself, so why did he even come if he's going to spend his time in the hotel? So it's those things, that personal touch, talking to members. It was just amazing for myself, learning from them also learning from me, them learning from the various board members that we had on the team, including Uno, who's on the call. The number of times that you would get to be able to interact with them was just amazing. So the possibilities are there, utilizing technology, using tools that we've always had for the good of the organization. So many people did not know that Microsoft Teams comes out of the box on your Office 365 subscription, because they never thought they needed to use it. So people started to see possibilities. And when you start using them, then you start asking yourself, do I really need to fly across? They need to fly from Cape Town to Durban for a 2-hour meeting. The preparation time, the check-in, or then having, and then start thinking of going for evening drinks, then flying back. All that time, all those resources, you could have invested those in so many other things. So the possibilities that we saw were just so tremendous. And yeah, it was not an easy year leading an organization, trying to make sense to someone who's on the other side of the world. Because my perspective would be what I see on TV or what I'm reading, what I've been exposed to. And it's just then amazing when you then unpack some of the things and you actually see that you're probably actually broadcasting from the same wavelength, as it were. And it is my hope and my belief that as we launched the RISE initiative last year, the pillars that we are working on will continue to transform the organization. We'll continue to pivot ourselves as far as our relevance is concerned. For a very long time, the organization has been one that normally has people speaking to themselves. So you have your JCI impact, your JCI admin, your new member orientation, your parliamentary procedures, your this and that. That is boring to a new person. That is boring. What is it that they're taking away? What's their takeaway? When they walk in through the door and be a part of the network, and by the time they walk out, be it in 2 years, be it in 3 years, and it has to be apparent. Your program should be apparent and have someone say, I want to be a part of this. I want to do this because it speaks into something that is relevant to me as a young person. These are the opportunities that I'm looking for, and I have not found them anywhere. And therein lies the unique positioning for the organization, thanks to COVID-19. So perhaps we need to thank COVID-19 for such opportunities. A conference like this would not have been possible if it weren't for COVID-19. You would have had to fly us to Cape Town, at a cost, registration cost, and this and that. But right now, you're just making it happen. And you're creating that opportunity and that platform. And that same way, that's the same thing that JCI can be able to do, to unpack tools and resources to young people in the organization and outside the organization. Therein lies our unique opportunity to be that that organization that wants to be the leading global network of young active citizens. Remember, it says the leading network of young active citizens, not the leading network of JCI members. Young active citizens, young people that are upwardly mobile, ones that keep twisting and turning, looking for lasting solutions to challenges, long-term solutions, as it were. Last year, we had an option. You can see there's a down. So you see that it's clear to see that our plan of action has been greatly affected, and we can't exactly deliver as much as we want to. Hope you guys understand. And we just shut down and wait till the airports open, wait till everything is back to normal. We could have done that. But no, we had the mandate. We need to continue providing these development opportunities for young people to continue to create sustainable change and sustainable impact wherever they are. And as we gave birth to the JSI Rise initiative, we were saying we need to be as relevant as possible to our members and as relevant as possible to many other young people across the world that we've got access to. And therein lies that unique opportunity that we had as an organization in 2020. And I believe that we are positioned for growth. JSI South Africa right now has got a unique opportunity. I'm praying that the World Congress will be held in person in Sandton later on this year. young people, opening up the doors to the rest of the world and welcoming them to find South African cuisine, find South African warmth, and what us as young Africans are able to do when we put our minds to it, when we put our energies into it, and make things happen. Unique opportunities that JCI offers us. It's just up to us how far we want to tap into those opportunities. It's up to us as young people. I could have easily said, hey guys, I'm from Zim, guys. Hey, the house is on fire. And yes, I'm president, but hey, I also have got my own difficulties. I'm shutting down. I've never seen anything like this. And hey, guys, yo, like you guys would say, yo, I just can't handle it. I could do that. We could have done that. But hey, no organization is run on excuses. It's got to keep on moving. So we then found an opportunity to uniquely pivot the organization into the future. And yes, 31 December, I vacated office, and the work that the seeds that we planted last year are still being watered upon, and they keep on moving. And the success of the RISE initiative does not lie on the lap of Itai, does not lie on the lap of Unotida, it does not lie on the lap of Prosper or Chiamo or Douglas or
You are not audible, Mr. President. You are not audible, Mr. President. You were not audible, Mr. President. I see you were going on your last words there. We could not make sense of what you were saying. Do you mind? Yes. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I was saying the very last part of the very last part of the conversation. I was saying the success of an initiative like the RISE initiative, one that can work anyway without it necessarily being coined as one that came from JCI. It's relevant in any space. And it's up to us to position it right. It's up to us to make it relevant wherever we are. And the success of such an initiative does not lie on the lap, on Itai's lap, on Uno's lap, on Zikisa's lap, Doug's lap, or Marco's lap, but it lies squarely on each and every one of the people that have access to ensuring that they breathe life into it. So it's up to us to make it happen. And if you ask me any day, I told guys this, I said, such an initiative I did when I conceived it and started sharing it with the guys in HQ, I was doing it for our continent. As young people, we still need to do more as far as economic transformation of our continent is concerned. So it's up to us to make it happen, my good friends. Thank you very much. And at this point in time,
Ladies and gentlemen, can we give once more a warm round of applause to President Itai? You know, President, I've got to give it to you. You've set our comment section ablaze. I mean, people are commenting left, right, and center. Because I suppose that with many of the points that you had shared with us, they hit home to many of us, and we found ourselves resonating to what you were saying. And I mean, again, it looks like your story still continues, President Itai, as you were affectionately known as the Zoom president. And I mean, here we are speaking with you on the Zoom platform. But then again, I've noted your hand, Unotida. I'll just give it to you now. At this point in time, if you have a question, please write it down in the comment section. Either you do that or you raise your hand, or you will, when given the chance, unmute yourself, and then you can voice out your question or your comment rather. So at this point in time, whilst we are waiting for you to do that, let's give it over to Unotida Nyoni. You have your hand up, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mbaza, and thank you, Mr. President Itai, for a wonderful presentation. The one question I have for you is, so this thing happens and you are in Zim, and you're sitting at the highest office of a organization that has 150,000 members. And then a situation that no other president has had to face happens, right? How did you fight the possible negativity or negative thoughts that could come to you that would set you up for failure at this point, but you managed to keep that calm? And then secondly, how did you manage to keep that calm? Because you knew you needed to keep that even when things were not happening very well. How did you manage to keep that face that just said everything is all right to everybody around you?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Uno. I spoke earlier on about standing firm in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of a turmoil. It's not about you running around and trying to put out the fire, lest you run into the fire. Be as grounded as possible. And what was clear in my mind as I was president was that no form of negativity like COVID, and it wasn't just unique, it wasn't just something that was just around my house. It was something that was affecting everyone across the world. It was clear in my mind that, number one, this will pass. Number two, it would take a lot of calmness. I needed to be cool, calm, collected, make it look as if there's no crisis. Those that know me know that's how I handle crisis. They can attest. I've had some situations where everyone thinks I'll just start panicking, lose the little hair that I have, and just be all over the place and panicking. But I think just as a person, I've always been one who tries to be as calm as possible. Even my wife knows it. She'll come and screaming, "Hey, now this is the situation. Hey." I'll be chilled like this, analyzing, assessing, and saying, and I tell myself, what is set to be will be. Yes, it was unique. And it happened to me as president. And I did not earn as much miles as I would have loved to. But hey, I think being president was never meant to be one where you spend time in airports, but time for you to be in the driving seat and working on the organization, working to make things happen, working to leave some form of a legacy. How can I come to Congress and the only report that I have is that I gained 3,000 miles and I'm now platinum on Emirates? What do I do with that? What do we do with that? So what? Then everything else we're just fumbling, and so we're thrust into such an opportunity and it's only 1 year. Many said, "Oh, I'm so sorry you could not travel the world. So are you gonna get a second term?" I said, "Dude, this is a 1 year to lead. I have got 365 days for us to do something, or the chance is gone. And I'm so not going to blow it away. I'm not gonna let it slide. And let the story that's going to be told post this is, in a year when there was COVID-19 and the leader was from Africa, he was from Zimbabwe, and probably we thought now the organization is going to go into shambles. What good can come out of Zimbabwe? What good can come out of Africa? We rose beyond our imagination. And that's what I would wake up to every day. And I tried to just energize the members of board of directors and any members that I came across to say, we can keep pushing, guys. The best thing that we can do for ourselves this year is to get out of COVID-19 alive. That's how I made it. In this room, in this house. I couldn't visit my family in South Africa. I couldn't because airports were closed. So you can imagine what was going through my mind. But giving up was never an option. If I give up, then we should take over. If I say, why did it happen to me? The question should also be, why not you? Champions never thrive in the midst of comfort zones or when everything is okay and everything is calm. No, champions are born when there's turbulence. That's when we rise. As active citizens, we find ourselves thriving in the midst of a crisis. When there's a challenge and we find a solution to it, only then can we be said to be active citizens. So I guess I was trained up right in JCI to be calm, to look at the challenges, to work with your team and make things happen. What you win, you win. What you don't, but you keep on moving.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I mean, just to, as we are waiting for other people maybe to put on their questions, I'll go through the comments that we have here. Coach Oscar was saying small businesses help respond and adapt quickly to changing economic climates. Let's support and collaborate with one another. Absolutely, people who are agreeing to that. And then also Homotso Serwalo was saying that, or Sehwalo was saying that your message is a wake-up call that motivates adapting to the current and the possible next or future challenges. I salute you on how you're inspiring young entrepreneurs. We hope it doesn't. Oh, I'm sure Tiamo knows what you meant with that. Simpiwa was also saying this message is still so relevant even today, Mr. President. Thank you. And again, Coach Oscar was saying to that, to say that the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses is devastating is an understatement. This message is very relevant on how we go from here and making the most of technology. Thank you for that, Coach Oscar. The President, Silindi Lembaza of JCI South Africa, said that I like the emphasis of really making our organization so relevant. What are young people needing the most? And is the organization that I'm part of meeting that need, obviously. That's a very critical, big question you are challenging us with, Mr. President. Of course, Oscar, no organization runs on excuses. Very profound, President. And I mean, so many people are really emphasizing that, look, this has been a wake-up call, Mr. President Itai, that the COVID brought to us and that you also reminded us of with. And there's been some messages of gratitude saying that, or Franchet, thank you, Mr. President. Samuel also, thank you, Mr. President. You made us very proud, President Itai. It felt good to be a JCI member from Africa, that is in 2020 and beyond. So profound, Mr. President. Douglas Tigere also agrees with that. Well done, Mr. President, Itai Manyere. Manyere, what a time to be alive. You made history, sir. We salute you. Tanya Radzwa, I have to be slow. Tanya Radzwa, rising above the turbulent winds of COVID-19, President Itai, you are a living legend. Well, I cannot agree more with that, Tanya Radzwa. You set an excellent example in turbulent times. Nice work, Mr. President. Those have been all the comments that came through our chat box, President Itai. So do we have anyone at this point in time who would like to vocalize their question or comment as far as the address from the 2020 president is concerned? Okay, in the absence of any, President Itai, I in fact always found when you speak, something must change somewhere, somehow. And that's the inspiration that you have definitely displayed in the year when we're at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. I salute you, sir, and all that you have done. Mr. Uno Tidanyoni, sir, a vote of thanks to President Itai.
Mr. Mbaza, thank you, Mr. President Itai, accepting this invite in your time of your busy schedule to come. I really, when I thought inviting you, I really thought a fantastic example as from the comments that are coming through here, that if you have such a big job and in turbulent times such as we did in 2020, and you still can manage, then none of us have any in this year or organizations, be they NGOs or social enterprise, or entrepreneurial ventures, businesses where we are working, even if it is within government, to really raise that hope. To see you doing what you did. So thank you so much for coming with us and experiences. I hope that all of us were a lot from what we are for this.
Thank you very much, Uno. Certainly, thanks for inviting me. I felt very honored to be invited to this platform and share this story, one that many have said you are not blowing the trumpet enough about, because it was a unique year. But thanks for this, being the first from Zimbabwe, being a world president, and being the first to experience it in COVID-19 was something that I can never trade for anything. Thanks very much to everyone for the comments. My good friends, leadership is not a sprint. So my role as a young leader from the continent continues in any sphere that I find myself in. Let's keep on building. Let's keep on pushing, be it spaces economic, spaces social development. Our children are waiting upon us for them to learn something from the work that we do. And they need to be able to look back and say, because my mom, my dad walked the face of this earth, XYZ was done. So let's keep on pushing. Let's keep on doing, and wherever our passions lie, and keep on building a brighter tomorrow for our children and our grandchildren. And certainly the world will thank us for it. Thank you very much, good people. Have a fantastic weekend.